It's tiny, Donald. It's very, very tiny. Yes, I'm talking about your crowd size, and you can't blame the cold weather on the shrinkage. You knew how small the crowds were going to be, and that's why you canceled the outside ceremonies of the inauguration, and you brought it inside the rotunda. A lot of the MAGA followers who went to Washington, D.C. are absolutely pissed. Donald Trump is being brutally trolled right now online. Everybody knows the real reason why he canceled the outside portion. And look, we all want everybody to be safe, but let's face it, it was much colder, or at least colder, when JFK had his inauguration, when former President Barack Obama did his inauguration. It was basically the same temperature. When JFK did it, he wasn't even wearing a jacket. Okay, let's be clear. And a lot of the Trump supporters like, okay, it's cold. We're from cold states, but like, can we please just get on with it? You know, the funny thing is that all of these like MAGA politicians are trying to make excuses for it now and coming up with conspiracies. They're like, look, the real reason what's really going on right now is it's security threats, because that's got to be the reason. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, MAGA Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, another MAGA Congresswoman, they're basically saying, look, the issue really here is that, there's some security issues. Just take a look, though, at Donald Trump getting utterly trolled. Sarah Burris goes, I believe the term is shrinkage, #inauguration 2025. Look, we knew there was a lot of empty seats in Trump's 2017 parade. He knew it was going to be that way as well. David Axelrod wrote, in 1961, John F. Kennedy was inaugurated on the Capitol steps in wind chills of 7 degrees. By the way, not wearing a jacket. It was almost as cold for Obama in 2009. In fairness, Trump is more than 3 decades older than JFK and Obama were, or did he just fear small crowds? We on the Midas Touch wrote the following. This is the same guy who wants to annex Canada. We're talking about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. As Art Candy goes, Donald Trump didn't want a repeat of 2017 to show that he can't bring the same crowd size for his inauguration of Obama. Forget that. His crowd size would be smaller than his 2017 crowd size. Noel Kassler writes the following, froze my ass off at President Obama's first inauguration, but then again, he was a real man, not Trump. This @FactPost account showed Obama's crowd in 2009 in 28-degree weather, inauguration day 2009. I was in D.C. I went to Georgetown Law at that time. I remember it vividly. Doug Landry writes, well, the great thing about moving Trump's inauguration to the rotunda is that all of his supporters already know how to get there, referring to the insurrectionists. Ken Barnes writes, the wind chill at the 2009 inauguration for Barack Obama was about 14 degrees Fahrenheit. He and his wife and young daughters didn't run inside the Capitol rotunda. They just wore coats. As our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, goes, Father Time is undefeated. Trump's just not in any shape to stand out there in the cold. Gotta give the old geezer credit for understanding his limitations. Tim Walz, governor from Minnesota, writes, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. And you see him right there out in the snow during a speech that he gave. Bill Burton goes, tell me you have a crowd size problem without telling me you have a crowd size problem. It was colder for Obama and JFK's inauguration, and JFK didn't even wear a coat. Michael Steele, former chair of the Republican National Committee, writes, wimps, of course the cold can shrink the size of things. So there's that #crowd size. Let's take a look at what Marjorie Taylor Greene and Anna Paulina Luna were saying. But first, Democratic Senator Chris Murphy writes, it's a metaphor for the next 4 years. The weather made it worse, but it was going to be an embarrassing crowd for Donald Trump no matter what. So he canceled it because of his ego, his very fragile ego. But the billionaires will get the indoor seats, and the regular people who paid thousands to come to Washington, D.C., they're going to get screwed. That's the metaphor. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene coming up with excuses for Donald Trump in extreme weather conditions, from cold to rain to heat. Is there a security threat other than extreme cold temperatures, not only for him, but his people? Let me share this with you right here. This is Anna Paulina Luna on Jesse Waters. And Jesse Waters goes, what's going on? Why are we going inside for these inaugurations? To which Anna Paulina basically said, I think it's security related. Again, they're just like making up excuses for Donald Trump. Here's Anna Paulina Luna. Let's play it.
Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna joins me now. What is going on? We're going inside for inauguration. What is happening to this country?
We are going inside, but Jesse, I've had my suspicions. President Trump is the #1 most influential person in the world, and also incoming administration. I think that it also might be due to security concerns. So look, what I've been telling people is there's a lot to do in Washington. You can still see all the sights, but please go to Capital One Arena and you'll actually get an address from him right after inauguration.
Okay, because if it's security concerns, I get it. I understand it. But if it's because Florida is running the things in the new administration, you guys get so cold.
Look, I think what Chris Murphy says is perfectly accurate. This is the metaphor you're going to have on the dais inside now the rotunda. Just think about the scene. Trump's cabinet, which is going to be made up of billionaires, combined net worth is going to be about $500 billion there. Basically just picked hedge fund, private equity, people who are screwing over we the people. That's who are in Donald Trump's cabinet. Then next to the cabinet, you're going to have Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of TikTok, all of these billionaires side by side. Sam Altman, whatever the guy's name is from AI. They're all going to be sitting there, literally a visual representation of the oligarchy right there. And guess what's not going to happen on day one? Not going to be peace in Ukraine. Prices are not going to be lower. Housing is not going to be more affordable. And if Donald Trump implements the executive orders that he claims he's going to do, including mass deportations and these tariffs, it's going to cause a shockwave in our economy on day one. Donald Trump's approval rating is already severely underwater, basically the worst in inauguration history. This is supposed to be the honeymoon period before you get inaugurated. Ain't the honeymoon period. Americans seem to already want a divorce. Some want a restraining order, if you will, to carry that analogy further. Donald Trump's approval pre-inauguration around 41%, according to the AP poll. The Morris poll has Donald Trump at about 44%, very, very low. By contrast, Obama was like 76, Clinton 72%, George W. Bush about 72%. Biden between kind of 67 and 72%, depending on the polls. So way to start out, Donald, major shrinkage. And I guess, Stormy Daniels was right from the outset. Everything Donald Trump does is small, teeny, tiny, and he's got to compensate for that. And there's a whole thing there. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Grants themes of his campaign, but to those opposed, they will signal a dark new moment and call to legal action. Trump is including to issue dozens of executive actions, more than 100 just on day one, at least in his own telling. Within his first week in office, sources familiar with his plans told CNN, including those aimed at ramping up U.S. energy production, tightening border security, reeling in regulations, and other top policy priorities. He is also seeking option to keep TikTok available in United States. He task made urgent a Sunday deadline to ban the app. I will be making the decision, he told CNN Pamela Brown by phone on Friday after the Supreme Court